Welcome to the bold analysis. I know Kenyans have been asking the interpretation of today's events, or rather, what happened at Mukami's burial, the greeting of Raila and Ruto, and then the same happened today, later on, when they again met at Kano Classic. Race that was going on in Kasarani. I want to interpret that in this short video analysis. But something happened before I tell you that. For those who are following live from TV and those who are following in YouTube, maybe in different pages, immediately when Raila was speaking, the viewership was at its highest, the 8 minutes. Then after Raila, when Raila finished, the mic was then given to the Mau Mau veteran. I think there's some other one speech. Then Musalia Mudavadi was handed over the microphone. So when again Musalia Mudavadi was handed over, the viewership dropped. And that was on YouTube, by the way. The viewership of the same video dropped. And when Rigathi Gachagua again picked it, it dropped further. But when William Ruto picked the microphone, the viewership rose. From my side, when Raila was talking, it was at 23,000 watching live. Then it dropped until when Rigathi was talking, it was actually at 9,000 watching. Then when William Ruto picked, it went to around 16,000. It's and that is why you are seeing the story about Kenyans switching off when Rigathi was talking. I really paid a close attention to that, and there is some very clear information that leaders may have to understand that in the fullness of time, the personal vitriol against people, I think the personal vitriol is not something that is in order. I want to say, for the record here, I know Dwell is having a book known as For the Record. It was not a coincidence that Raila Odinga met with William Ruto at Kasarani Stadium. It is not a coincidence because if you look at, I wanted to look at this sitting arrangement. If you look at this sitting arrangement, that is president, then there is, it is president, then there is Ababu Namwamba, then Raila Odinga. One person is not in that picture. That man is Eliud Owalo. Yes. So he's not in that picture. He's not there because Raila is there. You know, and I'm saying because Eliud Owalo also wants to use the sports aspect to consolidate, galvanize some support at something. So he will not, that is why he's not there. Probably they will be joining tomorrow. Maybe he's not a fan of athletics. But Raila Odinga has been attending these Kipchoge Keino classics. I think even last year, he attended with the Uhuru Kenyatta. And this year, he attended. So he also get the invitation, even from the organizers of those races, of that marathon. He always get that invitation. So apart from it. But then, truth be it, the whole government machinery, the whole mass government official was there. Musalia Mudavadi, there is a sports CS. Is it sports CS or PS? Sports CS. The former Jonathan Mweke, the former deputy governor of Nairobi. There were others, you know, Babu Namwamba, the other leaders there, and even the organizers and the coaches of the players. And you will say something that I understand. Of course, they left with Chopper, and some political leaders remained there. William Ruto might have put a call to Raila Odinga for that, and I want to tell you why that thing happened. Immediately after Njambini event, if you look at social media, people were a little bit disappointed by political pettiness at the burial. People were disappointed by it. You know, I think even the UDA advisors might have just called William Ruto and maybe confessed that what happened at that burial was overdone. Number one, they wanted the attention. You know, like for now, the discussion is not on the political pettiness and the verbal attacks vented against Raila in that event, but now about William Ruto and William Ruto and Raila Odinga shaking hands, rather greeting. That was the first. One day, the first time they're sharing a podium. That was in the burial, then that in Kasarani. I remember Raila, when recently was speaking about he's never met William Ruto, he was so categorical that maybe time had not come for them to meet, because the bipartisan team is still finding ways. So when the bipartisan team agree on demands of both sides, then they might sit down and greet. Now, UDA and William Ruto wanted to just tone down and suppress the pettiness at that burial, and was trying to redeem himself. I know many want to interpret it. You know, people are seeing some very huge messages on it. There is nothing huge in it. They realized that the whole UDA brigade attacked Raila Odinga, and it brought a backlash even in the social media, and Kenyans were asking, how did they turn a whole burial to become a political battleground? We Kenyans were asking those tough questions. And because we wanted to divert the attention of the country from the mess there, and because that would have covered the newspaper headline tomorrow. But then they decided, like, hey, look here, we are going to pick, we want to redeem and change the discussion. So even the invitation and all that was actually done. And I remember when I was following the burial, I told someone, I just told someone who was watching home with my wife, and I was telling my wife that Raila has been fattened for slaughter. She was like, why? I told her, what was happening here is to create a very conducive environment that it feels comfortable. But in the next 1 hour, the other speeches that happened after it, I'm telling you, Raila was trolled, was ridiculed the whole day there. Now, there's some few things I'm seeing. It's a signal of Raila saying we want to lower the political tension, and we can avoid the confrontation. That's the signal. So it's upon William Ruto, because, you know, initially there are those who believe, and they always had that narrative that Raila Odinga is a destroyer, and because he cannot pull a statesman, and like his political clout was coming to an end because of the destroyer narrative. The mass action was demonized on the grounds that people's properties are getting destroyed. That was the very ground in it. And in what he's saying, it is upon William Ruto, because what Raila is saying here is, I want ceasefire. So if William Ruto will continue dilly-dallying with the bipartisan talks here and there, then I can tell you, if he would have then provoked Raila. But what that means is I want ceasefire. The other message I'm seeing there is Raila is communicating a signal. I will criticize you, but it's not on the question of legitimacy. I think he's trying to water down the legitimacy push, the victory claim push, but then he's taking a strategic position of criticism, or rather calling out the government. I remember him speaking, saying that we'll be truthful. We must call out power. Now, I want to put up my personal submission on that angle. You cannot continue with the legitimacy push without a very workable strategy to regain power, while really there is no legal path to regain power. So I always also believed that the legitimacy push is a bit of mark timing. But with the criticism, you are going to get the grip of the population. For example, everyone is talking about the housing fund. When you speak about that, you get to really get people's attention. And I do believe that pulling that is something that you cannot underestimate. He's showing that. That photo needs to, when I'm just asking, thinking loud, what does Rigathi Gachagua think when he sees that photo? Because according to him, what Rigathi wants is Raila not being in the picture. And he believes that because Uhuru Kenyatta mistreated him, and Uhuru Kenyatta is working close with Raila Odinga, and Raila Odinga then seems to be getting closer to William Ruto, then Uhuru Kenyatta in the picture. You will see in some recent past, in few days ago, if this goes on, then Rigathi will step out and change the whole aspect. If there is simple thing to do, is the best way to bring Ruto Rigathi full out is put Raila in the middle, and that will be the end of the story. Now, that is it. Probably many have always thought Ruto can kill Raila, they are enemies. I think we are getting some good political lessons in this country, that it's never that serious. I also say here, it's never that serious. It's never that serious. So don't kill your brother because of politics. Let's meet tomorrow, guys. Have a blessed Sunday.